There's a moment many of us don't speak of. It doesn't happen in a hospital. It doesn't come with sirens. It comes one morning when the legs that used to lift us without thinking hesitate, not in pain, just in pause, as if they're asking first, "Are we sure we still want to get up today?" And you sit there not alarmed, but aware. Something has shifted, not just in the knees, but in the trust you used to place in your own movement. There's a wordless grief in that pause, not because you can't rise, but because rising now requires negotiation. I remember a woman named Hoa. She used to water her garden barefoot, a soft ritual that marked the rhythm of her mornings. But one day, she stood at the back door and didn't open it. She told me my legs weren't ready, and I didn't want to argue with them. That stayed with me, because no one prepares you for the day your body starts offering suggestions instead of certainties. The legs, once swift, now whisper back, "Go slow. I'm still here, but I need gentleness." And that's where fear can begin. Not fear of falling, but fear that you no longer belong to your own movement. That strength, like a friend, has started leaving early without saying goodbye. But what if that's not the whole story? What if strength hasn't left? It's just speaking in a quieter voice now. Science calls it muscle decline. The thinning of fibers, the soft erosion of power we didn't know we were borrowing from youth. But biology doesn't tell the full story. It forgets to mention how strength can live in ritual, how restoration can begin with warmth, with sip, with stillness. Before we rebuild anything, we have to name the ache, not to fix it, just to sit beside it long enough to understand its language. Try this. Window watch pause. In the early part of your day, sit by a window for 5 minutes. Don't walk yet. Don't rush. Let your legs feel the light. Let the world move without you until your body says, "Now, I'm ready." Because the truth is, slowness is not surrender, it is awareness. And even in hesitation, you are still here, still upright in spirit. And sometimes the first step isn't forward, it's inward. Some remedies don't come in medicine bottles. They come in the morning, blended, quiet, yellow like softened sun. We used to think of food as fuel, but somewhere along the way, some meals became memory. A smoothie not just for health, but because it reminded us of hands that once peeled bananas for lunchboxes, for road trips, for the quiet between obligations. There's something grounding in it. The curve of the fruit, the scent as it breaks, the weightless sweetness of something so simple still doing something so vital. Potassium, they say, a mineral your muscles quietly beg for, not because they are dramatic, but because they are trying to keep you steady, trying to stop the seizing, trying to let you sleep without pain's sharp intrusion at 2:43 a.m. Bananas whisper, "I'll help you hold yourself." And then there are almonds, little archives of strength, magnesium wrapped in skin, quiet, unassuming, but within them a mineral that soothes the cramp before it arrives, eases the stiffness before it spreads. I remember a man who used to carry almonds in his coat pocket, said it reminded him of his mother who'd toss a few into his lunch and say, "Keep moving, but eat slowly." He still did both, even at 81. This drink is not a health tip. It's a ritual of quiet reinforcement, a way to remind your legs, "I am feeding you. I have not forgotten you." Try this. Memory Sip Ritual. In the morning, prepare your banana almond smoothie, but before the first sip, place your hand on your thigh. Say out loud or softly inside, "Thank you for still holding me upright." Then drink slowly. Let the nutrients arrive like a quiet repair crew. Science confirms it. Potassium for fluid balance, magnesium for muscle calm, natural sugars for gentle energy. But more than that, this is about turning nourishment into acknowledgement. The body hears more than we think, especially when fed with intention. So drink not because you should, but because you're learning to care for the parts of you that rarely ask, but always carry. The legs are still here, still listening, still willing. We just have to meet them with sweetness and slowness. And from that quiet strength, we move into something even deeper, a warmth that begins from within the bones. There is a kind of weight we no longer lift, but still remember. Grocery bags in both hands, grandchildren swung into the air, luggage hoisted, garden tools dragged, bodies once capable of rising without sound. We don't mourn the strength itself, we mourn the ease of it, the unconscious way our bodies moved through the world without asking permission. Now even rising from a chair can feel ceremonial, and in that shift, grief begins. Not loud, but steady, like a dull ache behind the knees, a whisper in the lower back. But what if there was a way to speak back? To answer the body's quiet hunger with something warm, something ancient. Bone broth, they say, holds collagen, the invisible stitching that used to keep us whole. As we age, those threads loosen, not in betrayal, but in letting go. I once met a woman who called bone broth her evening anchor. She'd sip it slowly from a mug her daughter painted decades ago. She didn't speak much during those sips, just stared out the window and held the warmth with both hands. When I asked her what it did for her, she said, "It reminds my body I'm still building something, even now." That's the power of ritual. It turns ingredients into remembrance, turns steam into reassurance. Bone broth doesn't just strengthen bones. It says to the body, I still believe in you. Science offers quiet confirmation. Collagen restores connective tissue. Glycine and proline ease inflammation. Magnesium calms. Calcium steadies. It is a recipe for remembering wholeness. But even more than that, it is a ritual of belonging to the body we still inhabit, to the legs that still ask to carry us, even if more slowly. Try this. Bone steam ritual. Pour your broth into a mug. Before sipping, close your eyes. Let the steam touch your face. Breathe in. Say softly, "This warmth still holds me." Sip slowly. Feel it travel, not just down the throat, but into the places memory lives. Because healing isn't always in the fixing. Sometimes it's in the feeding, the comforting, the patient acknowledgement that this body, though changed, is still trying. You may not lift what you once did, but you are still holding so much, and that counts. Let the warmth stay with you, because next comes the night. And in that dark, another golden ritual is waiting to hold you still. By evening, the body begins to whisper, not in pain, not yet, but in that language it reserves only for dusk. The knees creak like old floorboards. The calves tighten, reminding us they've carried more than we remember. This is the hour when many reach for distraction, but some of us reach for warmth. Golden turmeric milk, soft amber, still swirling, does more than soothe. It becomes a permission slip, a signal to the body, you've done enough, you may soften now. The old ones used to drink it before sleep, not because it was trendy, but because they knew the body healed best in stillness. And warmth invites stillness to arrive faster. Turmeric, they say, holds curcumin, the compound that hushes inflammation, eases the quiet fires in joints and muscles. But in a whisper home, it holds something else too, the scent of care, the weight of an evening that doesn't rush. I once sat with a man who made golden milk every night after his wife passed. He would warm the milk on low flame, add a pinch of black pepper, a sliver of cinnamon, and stir it in small circles, always counterclockwise. When I asked him why, he said, because that's how she stirred everything, backwards, but in rhythm. He didn't drink for the health benefits. He drank to stay close to a rhythm that still held him. That's what this ritual can be. Not a supplement, a sanctuary. Try this. Candle stir plus sip ritual. Warm your milk with turmeric, cinnamon, pepper. Light a candle. Stir slowly in any direction that feels familiar. Before sipping, close your eyes and say, "I release the weight of today." Then sip. Let the golden drink coat your insides like a soft hand across a tired back. Science supports the curcumin, the anti-inflammatory effects, the circulation, the protection of cartilage. But the truth, you'll feel, goes deeper. This is not just for the legs. This is for the self that tried so hard all day to be upright, capable, composed. Golden milk doesn't restore what's lost. It simply says, you are already enough, just as you are, resting now. And in that surrender, in that final sip, comes the realization, you were never supposed to be strong all the time. Only present, only here. And the legs, they thank you when you finally listen. Which brings us to the truth, beneath the truth. Not about drinks, but about how we carry ourselves in fading light. There comes a point when we stop trusting our own limbs, not because they've failed us, but because we no longer recognize the pace they now require. You stand and feel the slight tremble in your thigh. Reach for the cupboard and notice the arm doesn't stretch as far as it once did. Bend down, and it's not pain that startles you. It's the unfamiliar delay, and somewhere deep inside, a quiet voice asks, "Am I fading?" But here's what no one tells you. The body does not abandon us. It simply asks to be met where it is now, not where it once was, not where others think it should be. This is not a story about loss. This is a story about re-relationship, a recalibration, a return. I met a retired seamstress once who told me, "My fingers don't move like they used to, so I just make smaller stitches now." And then she smiled, "But they still hold." That stayed with me, because maybe that's what rebuilding really looks like. Smaller movements, softer strength, but just as enduring. Your legs, your hips, they haven't left you. They're just inviting you to meet them in a new rhythm. Science supports this gently. Even after 70, the body retains the ability to build new muscle fibers. All it asks for is consistency and kindness. A few gentle stretches, a short walk, a warm drink, a moment of listening. Try this, barefoot grounding pause. If the weather allows, step barefoot onto grass, tile, or earth. Close your eyes, feel the texture beneath your feet. Whisper to yourself, "I still belong to this ground," because you do. Your feet still root, your legs still hold. Your body, though changed, is not disappearing. It is distilling into something more essential, more honest. Let yourself believe it. You don't need to be who you were to feel worthy of care. The legs you thought were leaving, they were just waiting for you to stop rushing, to stop punishing, to begin noticing. You're not starting over, you're starting closer. Closer to your truth, closer to what strength actually feels like now. And from here, we return to the very beginning, not to change the story, but to walk it again, more slowly, more kindly, with both feet on the ground. We often think the journey ended the moment our bodies slowed, as if motion only mattered when it was quick, and worth was measured in how far we could go. But the truth is quieter. The first step never disappeared. It only softened, became less about distance and more about presence. You are still walking, not always forward, sometimes inward, sometimes just enough to stand near the window and let the sun find your shoulder. There's dignity in that, in choosing to move without force, in deciding that your body, just as it is, deserves to be trusted again. The strength is still there, woven into each careful stride, each stretch of calf, each lift of heel off the floor. You are not lost to time. You are folded into it, held by it, becoming more you with every quiet breath. So let the world rush. Let the noise pass you by, and you take one soft step. Not because you must, but because you can. And the next time your legs hesitate, whisper to them gently, I am here. I am listening. Because the path still remembers you. Even if you forget where it begins, it will wait. It always has. And when you're ready, just place your foot down. With less fear and more reverence. Until next time, take a slower breath and take care of your story.